order. We met in executive session from 7 o'clock to 7:57 to discuss personnel matters. Everyone can please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Ciceri, would you please read the mission statement?
Good evening, everyone. The Homer Center School District is a caring district where everybody is somebody. Through our partnerships with the family and community, we are committed to a diverse educational program that develops and prepares students for the challenges of our rapidly changing world.
Thank you. Mrs. Collins, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Ayers.
Here.
Mr. Gerald Burdick.
Here.
Mr. Michael Burdick.
Here.
Dr. Della Fiera.
Here.
Mr. Fabian.
Here.
Dr. Pontiani Palmer.
Here.
Mr. Shank.
Here.
Mrs. Smith.
Here.
So we have a quorum, and we'd like to welcome all of our guests to the meeting this evening, and I'll turn it over to the administration for student recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Burdick. We have a number of students we're going to recognize this evening, and we'll begin with our elementary and Mrs. Gentry.
Actually, my part is going to be kind of short today, but I'm going to bring Mason Timko up. So Mason, come on up briefly. Not too brief. Okay, do you know how you even got to be here today?
No.
Okay, here's the really cool thing. So third grade had to pick one kid that was super amazing to come and share with all of our board members. And we picked one third grader who's doing all kinds of awesome things and being everything that is Roar. You were the one they picked this year. So you're really that kid who's doing all the things. You're always respectful, you're responsible, you have ownership, you have a great attitude. And I know Mrs. Kaufman has all kinds of really great things to say, but you're just one of our fantastic Wildcats. So all the third graders, that's how you got to be here. So come on down, Mrs. Kaufman.
All right. So this is Mason Timko. Here, turn this way so they can see you. Okay. These are all the people I was telling you about today. So we chose Mason, the third grade teachers, because he really is just a sweetheart. He is such a hard worker, and at the beginning of the year, third grade was hard, and we talked about it, and we talked about some things that we could do to make it better and for him to be more successful, and he really was and is. So he is on fire right now. He's doing really great. He is the sweetest, kindest gentleman ever. And so I asked his classmates to just give him some compliments, and of course there were tons. But I just wanted to share a couple things that they said. One said, "I like the way you think. You're funny. He is kind, respectful, smart, and brave. He knows so much about space. He follows the Roar rules. You are the best friend anyone could have. He is very cool and nice, and he shares." Do you want to tell them a fact about space that you really like?
Yeah.
Good.
So I really like how, Saturn's rings is actually just made out of moon debris.
That's cool. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. I did not know that.
I think he's read every space book in the library, so he's your guy for that. So Mason, I am going to give you this. This is from the school, and that is a little something for you to take home and just keep forever. Okay?
Okay.
You did a great job, buddy.
Who did you bring with you today, Mason? Did you bring anyone with you today?
My mom and my stepdad couldn't come because he was sick.
Oh, that's a bit too bad. I'm glad your mom's here. Yeah. Do you have a favorite class?
My favorite class is of course Mrs. Kaufman's.
He's very smart.
I like it.
Well, congratulations, Mason. Thanks for being here today.
You're welcome.
Okay, yeah, why don't we go ahead and Mason, we're gonna take a picture of you outside the door here, buddy. If you wanna come outside with your mom and Mrs. Kaufman, we're gonna get a picture of you. And you're welcome to come back in if you want. You're welcome to head home if you got stars this occasion.
Oh, Mom, hold on just 1 second. I don't think anybody will mind if I say this on everybody's behalf. I'm left with this feeling of needing to apologize to a big room like this that we were as late as we were. That shouldn't happen. We had multiple things we were trying to plow through and just get cleared away, and time got away from us, but we've got to find a better way to do this. Thank you for waiting on us. So I'm sure a half an hour seems like a long time. 5 or 10 minutes is one thing, but we are cognizant of that, and I just want you to know that.
Thank you. Next, we'll turn it over to Mr. Rainey in the high school Wildcat recognition.
Wildcat? Here you go. Yeah. Mr. Gajosic's going to do the honors tonight, but I did want to say this. We're recognizing our junior high girls basketball team. And it was a treat, I think, for Kurt and I both to, when we met with them and told them we were going to recognize them tonight and the things that you guys told us, and I've told you this before. I'm so proud of you guys, for you girls, for showing up every day, came to practice every day, and the things that you told us that I'm sure Mr. Kajosic's going to talk about here a little bit tonight. I'm just so proud of you guys that you stuck with things, you saw it through, and you showed up every day, and put your best foot forward, and really worked hard, but you also said you had a lot of fun, which was great. So, good. Oh, you want to come up, and then we can do it together?
All right.
All right, so I don't know how many know, but our junior high girls basketball team, we would not have had a junior high season if it was not for these 6 girls. They not only did they come out and play and work hard, they also recruited. They were some of our biggest recruiters. I think it started with the front 3 here, and then they recruited the 2 behind them here. We have Bonnie, we have Kayla, and Chloe, Alicia, and Brandon, and Araya is not here with us tonight. But without them, we would not have had a season. So I did write some things down that I wanted to share because I didn't want to forget anything. I'm not the best talker, and I forget things a lot, so I wanted to write them down. But you showed up every single day to practice, and no excuses, no complaints. You worked hard in practice, worked hard in games, even when the scoreboard didn't go your way. You proved that effort and attitude mattered more than wins and losses. In the time when quitting seems like, I don't want to say it's more common, it's definitely easier. You stuck with it and you saw it through. You supported one another, you encouraged one another, and you never turned on one another. You grew, not just as basketball players, but as young women. You built friendships, which is one thing they shared with us that they brought together. Like they didn't really know each other great. They weren't great like friends prior to, and they became close, which was awesome. You represented your school and community with class and pride, and you're the definition of resilience and toughness. So I just, not only them, but the coaches, I just want to give them credit as well, because it seemed like all of you were just together. And in basketball, I think a big piece of learning is what some may not know, is 5-on-5 in practice is one of the biggest ways to learn the game. And they couldn't do that. So for them to stick it out and see it through with, just working on skills and not being able to run 5-on-5 in practice, like, it's just, I can't tell you how proud we are of you.
Continuing play? Yeah. You like it? All right, good for you. Recruiting more people too? Yeah.
These smiles, this is all you saw all year, these smiles.
That's fabulous.
What were your thoughts on the season as it was going on? And Fred, what were your thoughts?
I didn't like it because we kept losing, but I liked it because my friends were with me. I knew that I was going to create friendships, more friendships than I did have.
Cool. Learning to lose is a big part of sportsmanship. So now you can learn how to win, and it'll be great. Right?
We all want to win, but this shows that it's often not the most important thing. And I don't know if it was the Pittsburgh paper or the local paper that just had an editorial piece related to one of our Olympians who was expected to win and didn't. And the whole piece, I think it was the Pittsburgh paper, but the whole thing was that they should not feel that they were a failure, that when you put your maximum effort into something, there is no such thing as failure. There might be disappointment, but failure should not ever be part of your thought process. And I think that there's lots of good lessons to be learned from what you've done in your perseverance, and I hope it continues to grow for you into.
Do you want to introduce yourselves and who you brought with you?
I'm Drake Fulmer, and I brought my mom and my stepdad with me.
Thank you. Come.
I'm Alicia Tippy, and I brought my mom with me. I'm Claire Coleman, and I brought my dad, my grandma, my brother, and my mom.
Oh, you win.
I'm Kayla Fraley, and I went with her because my mom couldn't make it.
That's okay.
My name is Bonnie Lindsay, and I brought my mom and my younger sister.
Thank you for sharing with us, and thank you parents for supporting them through this. It had been a lot of tears for you as well, and some frustrations, but thank goodness you stuck with it. I'm really proud of you all.
Thanks for being a Wildcat.
Picture.
Yep, we're gonna ask you to step outside for a picture there. Everyone's welcome to
If
go
you
out
want
for
to
a
leave
photo.
afterwards, you take your things with you.
That's right.
See you, nice to meet you.
Who are the coaches for this team?
Okay, it worked out.
Kurt?
Jesse is, what's Jesse's last name? Jesse Weber, who does a lot of our summer conditioning with some
Okay.
of the students and stuff like that, and Ashland Curse.
Ashland, oh, that's good. I didn't know that.
I think the nice thing too is a lot of the kids, when we met with them, talked a lot about just how the coaches were very positive and they actually worked with them. Like they didn't just throw the ball out and realize what it was. And honestly, when we talked to them, they just said they had a lot of fun because they said the coaches were positive, they made a lot of friendships. And they said it was just a great experience. It was like, the biggest thing for me is I've said a lot of times, those girls learned that, it's just, when things seem impossible, you just keep going.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't a lot of disappointment over their record. They knew what they were up against, but they showed up every day. They showed up. And I think that's half the battle of life, you gotta show up. So, but anyway, I'm super proud of them. They're awesome. But I have somebody else I'm proud of too.
Okay.
Right, Abby? Come on up there. So Abby was on like a 2-minute bathroom break from indoor percussion practice. So just tell me you went home. So I had to drive home. Tell me you came back. That's good. So Abby is our Grayson Coral Sportsman Club Senior of the Month. So what that means, Abby, is 2 things. Number one is you get a $100 kind of mini scholarship. And then you're also eligible now, they're going to select someone who gets a $1,000 scholarship at awards night. So, fingers crossed. So, Abby's a hard one to figure out because, as you can see, she doesn't say a whole lot. So I had to go out and start asking teachers, and she excels in a lot of things, but, like me personally, I know her from her success and what she's done in our music program, both in vocal arts and instrumental arts. So I talked to Miss Root and Miss Marshall first. You really want to know what they said? Because they almost said the identical thing. So it has to be the truth, right? It says, this is Miss Root. Abby excels in both instrumental and vocal arts. In chorus, she's a leader in the alto section. She is a very strong but quiet leader who leads by example and is always encouraging others around her. She's a very strong academic student. She's responsible, steady, consistent, and her actions always speak louder than her words. Is that true? See, I didn't even, I was gonna go see Mr. Buffon today, but I knew he was here, so I'm gonna make him say something about you. You better do something good. Now, this is Miss Marshall. Okay, so here's Miss Marshall. Here's Miss Marshall. It says, she said, Abby's a hardworking, quiet leader who strives for perfection. Keep striving. She is very strong in academics as well as in her music career. Abby's always working on a project, studying, practicing whenever I see her. She's very quiet, but a good example for anyone. Anytime you ask her to do something, even if she doesn't want to, she typically follows through with a smile on her face. She is smart, determined, dependable. The younger students in the band look up to her for how to behave, and she doesn't enjoy bossing people around, but she knows when she has to turn on leader mode versus friend mode. And so, honestly though, she is so steady in everything she does. This is actually, that's a true description of her to the T. And I'm sure Mr. Buffon will, maybe, is this time for like rebuttal, or is it going to be?
No. I would corroborate everything.
Get up there and say,
yeah.
I was going to come
actually
see you
can't
because I know that.
Say anything more eloquent than what's already been said, but I can say that AP Biology is a very, very demanding course, and the students are rising to the challenge. They may not be used to thinking an 80% is all that great, but it is when you are taking a college course in high school. And Abby continually is in the top tier of that course, preparing herself, rarely seeking help because she's so good at navigating the material on her own, keeping me in check if there's a question on the quiz that wasn't proofread well enough and it might have been keyed wrong, but she's the first one in line. But always with tact and poise and respect. So just the consummate student, just everything someone would want in a daughter, in a student, in a worker. And I always say to the students, I actually don't care if you're an A student. I care if you overachieve. I care if you work hard and perform better than your natural given ability. That's a hireable person. She lucked out. She got a lot of brains and has work ethic to go along with it. So Abby's already ready to do whatever job she wants to do in life.
Okay.
And I think it's also a reflection of, like, the one thing that she knows is that I actually grew up around her grandparents and her mom, right? But the thing is, and a lot of them are here tonight, she has a very strong, supportive family, you know, and that's really important. You take the gifts that she has and the encouragements that she gets from her family. They're always at everything. I see them every time I turn around, they're there. But, you know, so Abby, I'm so proud of you, and, you know, not only just because of your accomplishments, but just because of the solid person that you are. So here's what you get. A nice little certificate, a nice check, with your name on it, and you get your old Farmer Center Wildcat pin. So you get all those things. Congratulations.
Do you have any plans after high school?
Yeah, I'm going to IUP for pre-med. I already got accepted into the honors college, and then after that I want to go to med school at Johns Hopkins for ophthalmology.
Ophthalmology, good plan. Congratulations.
She's already preparing because she knows her AP Bio.
Good job teaching. What did you bring today?
My parents and my older brother and my grandparents.
Welcome.
I have to know, what do you play in indoor percussion?
Bass drum.
Awesome. Which one?
Bass 2.
Do you have a favorite subject?
If you buy them.
He's back there, you know.
It would not hurt my feelings, but I would hope that someone going into medicine picks
Yeah.
that class.
Yeah.
Very good.
We're gonna ask you to come outside and take a picture of it.
A lot bigger than she is.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Parents.
Thank you. Wanna come back?
Hard time.
See you, nice to meet you.
Now how to have your
Over the giant check, it was great. Yeah, it's so sad. Just one. It's great.
All right.
It's my favorite part of it. It really is.
We are going to, yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, yep, I'm sorry.
Hey, Johnny, how is it to have your sister back in the building?
Wonderful.
Yeah, I'm really happy she's
Day 3 and all of my students under her watch have all their work made up.
Wow.
Day 3.
Yeah, she's an asset.
Yeah, that was,
In more ways than one.
we are, there's a different feeling, so we're really happy to have her back
That's good.
for now.
Me too.
Back for now or happy for now?
Happy for now.
Just
I
remind
mean, there's
everybody
always
we're
that
live
sibling
on
thing.
Facebook.
I'll never forget one day Lisa Adams walked into the room and I was arguing with my sister over a specific, and I was just like, well, that's how it's gonna be. Click. And she goes,
Will you
would you
remind
talk
everybody
to
we're live?
anyone else like that? Like your sibling? I said, no, and she would talk to me that way.
And have a little leeway.
Oh, okay.
You get a sign that flashes up there we're live.
I stayed pretty safe, so. I'm already getting texts from her.
No.
It is.
There's a lot of fun up there.
It's a party.
Yeah.
They're having a good time.
Changing the numbers on that checkout.
Yeah.
All right, we will move ahead to visitor comments, and Mr. Cecilia will take the notes. So we have Chloe Drew.
Hi, my name is Chloe. I am a mother of 3 students that attend Homer Center School District. I came here tonight to ask a couple of questions of the board members concerning the Homer Center redevelopment group. But before I do that, because I have your attention, I did want to share that I have extreme gratitude for Homer Center Elementary School, Mrs. Genscher specifically, and all the teachers, students, and staff there. That this past fall, at the beginning of the school year, I started volunteering as a garden educator, and everyone in the building has jumped in. Students are amazing, the teachers are all on board with everything that I'm doing, and so I just wanted to share that before I came with my questions, because I was here tonight, and so I appreciate all the support that I've gotten with that.
She does an amazing job. Come see us in the spring.
There's 525 red wigglers in the 4th grade classrooms right now. So.
What's a red wiggler?
A worm. Composting worm.
Yes, I should have known that.
All right, so I have a couple questions. My first question is, has there been any communication with Homer Center Redevelopment Group and the school district? And if there has been, is that going to be made public? My second question is, are there going to be any precautions that are going to be put into place to safeguard the young lungs that are here playing at the school with the nation's largest natural gas-fired power plant being put in nearby? It's something I was wondering if the school district has thought about an enforceable community benefits agreement with HCR, or what we can think about with the young students. I mean, everyone really, but being outdoors this close to that power plant. And then the last question is, because of the most recent news I've heard about the significant increase of traffic that will be coming through Homer City, has the school district thought of or have any ideas of how to keep our students safe with, I mean, I heard upwards of 2,000 vehicles coming through, you know, our small town. So those are my questions, and I appreciate you all. Thank you. I don't think I have to say, so. Have a nice night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Are we going to get back to her?
to talk about or
Oh,
discuss?
no, I just want people to know that, yes, we have been in communication with them, of course, and, not on specific items or anything like that, but they know we exist and we have needs, and they want to be good partners with us, and right now everything is still nebulous and that they haven't begun construction of anything, but we are in contact.
All right, we'll move on to data presentations.
So we'll start with the high school there. That way we can get them moving on if they want to move on. So we'll start with Mr. Buffone. I want to first of all thank everyone for coming this evening and hearing our data presentations. And I also want to thank the teachers that show up to do the presentations of our students. I didn't get a chance to see Mrs. Kaufman, but I will certainly speak to her tomorrow and thank her for being here as well. It's going to take a minute to load up there. Each January, since my tenure began here, we've asked both buildings to put together some data that they want to share with the board in relation to their buildings. We did postpone that in this past January. Number one, weather was terrible. Number two, we had some board member adjustments going on. So we did postpone that till now, and both buildings have prepared. Allow that, and I will turn it over to there we go. So let me go into share mode.
If you just hit slideshow there, and then would you mind advancing?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
thank you. Okay, this year being a teacher and seeing when students have had enough, they've just been bombarded. I cut things down quite a bit this year. I'm giving you the down and dirty, okay? And before I even start, the down and dirty is good again, okay? So that's off my chest, okay? So I always like to remind you the difference between achievement and PVA's teacher effectiveness growth, okay? Achievement is what you've always thought about when you think about standardized testing. That's performance, okay? And it's always been criticized by teachers because there is a correlation between socioeconomic status and student achievement. So this part of the presentation is how well did our students perform compared to the norm referencing of the test, regardless of their socioeconomic status, because we don't have a choice. They don't give us points because we have more than 50% school lunches. But this is not what teachers are evaluated on, because the next piece of data is, and it's what caused me to buy in and say, I can accept being evaluated on that because that's fair, because they showed me statistically why it's fair. So right now we're just looking at how well did we do compared to the state. Okay, so it's basically the percentage of students that were proficient or advanced is how we look at achievement. Okay, and this year I promise you it's not because I'm the science teacher, but science was not counted for statistical purposes. They piloted the new Steele's standards. I don't know if you have heard of the Steele standards, but they're looking at a different way to gather whether or not students have mastered science objectives. And they're very engineering based, and frankly, a little unfair, because I think it looks at, it plays like a cognitive skills index test with science as the base background rather than a true measure of their basic understanding of science. But I am just part of the game, and legislators have decided what the test looks like. So long story short, science usually buoys us up in the county. It usually pulls us pretty high because we really outscore the rest of the county. We don't have that boost this year. So just keep that in mind. Either way though, the average score overall, the highest average score when added all together came to Homer Center this year. Okay? Now that's not all that telling because a couple really, really brilliant students can pull that average up, especially in a small school. But it's still something to say that our average score was the highest in the county. And just to show you, I always like to visualize because I'm a graph person. And welcome, Tori. It's so nice to see you. One of my former students and a phenomenal science student, by the way. So there's our number one there among the county. Okay, so then we looked at percent proficient and advanced. This is more the traditional way to look at how well your school performed. Okay, and when all was said and done, we scored second in the county in percent proficient and advanced. And I'm just telling you, I looked at last year's scores, and if we were adding science in and scored anything like last year, we would have bumped up to 1. But we live in the world that we live in, and right now, this last year, the science test was piloted. So it doesn't count for the state's evaluation of us. Okay? And then this, if you just, I think it's telling, and Mr. Cesare, I want to thank you because you provided a lot for me to start off. It was a nice kickoff point rather than having to go from scratch. This is 7th grade ELA, and we were 3rd in these schools for proficient and advanced. This is 7th grade math. This is an area of opportunity for us. We're still coming off of the moving teachers around, having a substitute for a year, and I don't know if that is to explain, but our achievement was the lowest in math, 7. In ELA 8, we were the top in the county. In math 8, we were the top in the county. And these are perennially, this is one year after another after another. This is very indicative of the way we score. So we didn't get the same type of science scores, but we got science scores. And what I want to explain to you is what they gave me was the percentile of each student on their form numbers. So, for instance, if a student took Form E of the pilot, they were given a percentile rank. They scored better than this percent of the students in the whole state that used Form E. What you usually see is a bell curve. You usually see very few students in the top quartile. You see most of your students in the middle 2 quartiles, and also very few students in the lowest quartile. This, on the other hand, is what we call a dream come true. And I was so proud of these kids. Because now what you've done is it almost looks fudged. It almost looks fudged because you've got a huge portion of our students in the top quartile of the state. And if our subset is supposed to be representative of the whole state, it should be a bell curve like the whole state. So what this means is we are far superior to the rest of the state in achievement in science on this new test this last year. That's all I can tell you. And I'm super proud of that. And if you remember, I brought Emery in, and he is a big part of this. He was expected and predicted by the state to be here, and he scored in that blue, and I was just so proud of him, and that's why I offered him the Wildcat Award, because when you way outshoot people's expectations, you deserve to be recognized. So here's a comparison to the state average versus us, okay? So in Math 7, the state average was 33.7% proficient and advanced, and we were below that by 7 points. Okay, in ELA 7, it's 49% and we were 59%, we outshot by 10%. We're 10% above the state average. In Math 8, we're 30% above the state average. Okay? And in ELA 8, we're 22% above the state average. So these are very indicative of the way things have been. And you also have a new teacher here. What is she, year 2?
7?
Yeah. So you've got someone right out of college with no teaching experience.
It's split between 2 teachers.
Okay, so these
But
teachers
that
are getting the
could be-
job done. That's a really good
Our new
sign.
teachers, Miss Soltez and Miss Palmer, would also be.
Okay, so again, area of opportunity, Math 7. Now, we're always bragging about our state rankings. Well, in achievement, for being one of the schools with the highest percent of free and reduced lunches, we flip that story and we're in the 91st percentile in ELA 8 and the 95th percentile in Math 8. And this is Sarah Cook, and she's just year after year after year after year just gets scores like this. It's not an anomaly, it's just what she does. We're in the 50th percentile in Math 7, and we're in the 76th percentile in ELA 7. So overall, this is something to celebrate. Okay?
So then even as that is an area of growth.
We're still in the middle of the state. And that test, that Math 7 test, traditionally has low proficient advance. And that's probably the nature of the beast of mathematics. Okay, so this is our Keystone. We just looked at PSSA. We're looking at Keystone now. Okay, and once again, we entered the race number 2 in Keystone when added total average Keystone achievement score. Again, this isn't number of proficient and advanced. This is just adding all the scores up and dividing by the total number of students who took it. Our average score was 2nd. Okay? About 10 points lower than Indiana's. I don't know what happened here. I think this may have been the PSSA graph. It looks just like the PSSA graph. My apologies. I think it got duplicated. Okay. When it came to proficient and advanced on Keystones, we scored 3rd in the county. Okay? So still holding tight. Okay? Big increase this year from Katie Brashear's last year's data. I called her immediately. She was somewhere in the United States. And I called her as soon as I saw the data to let her know her hard work paid off, and she really did boost her scores. And so here we are visually as 3rd. Okay, now for the thing that we tend to celebrate greatly, because this is where students who are not top students can still shine. These are students who do way better than expected. Okay? These are people in the marathon who are expected to be last, and they end up being in the middle of the road for the marathon. So what growth shows you is you start the marathon in the order that the state expects you to be from your previous data. Okay? And then when the marathon's over, you compare what you really finished versus what you were expected to finish. And if you finish better, then you get positive growth score. If you finish worse, you get negative growth score. If you finish exactly where expected, you get a 0 growth score, which is kind of like, okay, this is what we thought. Okay? Obviously, ideally, every teacher is pulling kids way beyond what's expected, because then you're closing the gap. And I do believe Mr. Rainey and I talked about this years ago. The only way you can close a gap and start getting really good achievement scores is by growth, because you have to pull these scores up and up and up until you get those kids past the proficiency post. And it worked. We focused on growth. We pulled students as best as we could forward, and it started in the last couple years, probably 3 years. Our achievement scores were looking like maybe the best or second best in the county. Whereas our achievement used to be kind of more correlated with our socioeconomic status and kind of floating in the middle. So we've done great things, and I tell you that every year.
Just on that note there, a zero is still a year's worth of growth.
Correct. So a zero is like, hey, you took this course and you scored where we expected. And you were expected to score there because you finished the course. You did what you were supposed to do in the course, and you landed where your track record says you would. Okay? So that's green. Green is like, okay, we did all right. Blue is like, oh, we got this, we have a personal best here. And yellow and red is like, I don't know what's happening here, but this kid's sliding. And sometimes it can be due to personal things, you know, going on in their life. And sometimes it can be to, you're just not holding the kids accountable to that. You're just not raising the bar enough. And if you don't raise the bar enough, they're never going to get over the next rank. That's kind of what I say to them. So we were second this year in growth. We're usually first, at least the last couple years. And again, we didn't have our growth score from science because it didn't count this year. So I feel like that would have bumped us up, but there's no way of really knowing. Looking at those pilot scores, I have to believe, I just have to believe. Looking at Emory's growth score, I have to believe we really would have been first. But there's no way to know. So you accept what it is, and the data is the data. So there were only 3 schools in the county that had positive growth. Okay? These are the first 3 schools. The Black Forest Homer, because we're Wildcats and we're black and white. And we're super proud to be in those 3, and we're super proud to be second. These schools are really struggling. Their students are slipping back in the marathon. Back. This is a bad slip. And I'm not trying to out another school. I'm just showing you data. Okay? And this is a big area of concern for administration if they see this. Okay? So we kind of, you can, as a regular constituent of the school district and the state, you can look at these. So I'm not showing you anything on these slides that anyone can't log on and look at. In fact, I didn't even use my log on to get these slides. I said I was a resident. Okay? So when you see these, I've showed you these before, right? You want to see pill caps, because pill caps mean you're so far above that it went beyond, and you want them to be in the blue. Okay? So even our Math 7, which looks earlier to be questionable, falls in the green for growth. That tells me that Math 7, that group of students, that cohort, is low achieving, but hung in there, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? They're never going to win the marathon. They're never going to be predicted to be number 1 in the marathon. They're predicted to be in the top 50 out of 100, and that's how they ended. In the top 50 out of 100. They ended the way they were expected. Math 8 did what it always does, went way beyond expectations. ELA, light blue means evidence that it was. ELA 7 says there's evidence. Dark blue says there's extreme evidence. Okay, it's just a matter of the evidence here. And even in our keystones, we are not in the yellow anywhere. We are not in the caution zone. We are not in the sliding backwards. Okay? So, something to celebrate. These are some other schools. If you look, there's a lot dipping into the yellows and the reds. And that gives pause. That gives concern. Like, we've got some areas we need to really work on. Okay? And I just picked 2 very close by districts. In the end, our teacher effectiveness scores were Math 8, top 13% of the entire state of Pennsylvania. In ELA 7, top 25% of all the scores in Pennsylvania. And ELA 8, top 19%. And finally, The Future Ready scores kind of combines more than just state data. It looks at state data. It looks at performances on readiness tests for like for tech students, and those I can never remember, and I apologize, but those industrial based that kind of test. We look at that, and how many of our students are passing compared to the state? Okay, so that gets figured in for this Future Ready.
Attendance, graduation rate.
Yes, it's a whole milieu of
Career readiness.
data that the state thinks is important, and we topped. The Indiana High School, or the Homer Center High School topped. Okay, only by 1.1 over Indiana Junior High and a couple over the senior high, but our building level score was the top. This is a comparison of those industry-based NOCT type tests. Okay, state average was 41. We were above, and a number of advanced was way above the state average. So what this tells you is our good students at Tech are really good. The ones that are getting the job done are really getting the job done. We have a big chunk of kids who are outperforming the rest of the state a lot. I think for this, we just looked at AP test success rates because we wanted to kind of give an idea as to whether or not students should be paying for college in the classroom or taking the AP test. In AP Biology this year, most of my students paid for the credits for Mount Aloysius, but I do have 4 kids who are taking the AP test instead. It's a little cheaper. In fact, it's free at Homer, I'm pretty sure. I think we have a program where we pay for it. So some of those kids said, no, I can do this. And it depends on your program, and I think it's important to advise our students. I had some very deep conversations. First, I asked them their major that they want to go into. Then I asked them what universities they want to go to, because if you try to use a 3 at Pitt or Penn State, it doesn't count. If you try to use a 3 at the 14, I don't know how many now, state schools, the PASHE schools, it does count, but it doesn't count for biology at every campus. It only counts for biology at certain campuses. Other campuses, it counts as free elective credits. So for instance, my nephew is going to be wrestling in Edinburgh, and Edinburgh accepts his AP biology score as bio, as his freshman bio. So that's out of the way for him. So it can really, really benefit. I mean, we can have kids going off to college with almost a year in, or at least a year's worth of credits. It's just important to advise yourself, and I would say that to all seniors and juniors. Advise yourself on what this counts for. But it's really, I mean, think about it. If we're in a district with kids that are, struggling socioeconomically, and you're already going off to college having paid 1/8 of what tuition actually costs to get 3 credits, that's a win in my book.
So as I look at this chart, a couple of things stand out to me. Number one, a school our size to have 10 AP courses is unbelievable. Mm-hmm. That is a commitment by this board and administration at the high school and scheduling to have that many courses offered for a school of this size is unheard of.
It is. I
Number
agree.
2, to have all those courses dual enrolled provides that opportunity for those students to earn those college credits, whether they take the AP exam or the dual enrollment course. And on top of that, we have 90-some students attending ICTC. So this big picture of what is happening in junior and senior high is really amazing. To have that many AP courses, that many students invested in AP courses, that many dual enrolled courses, and that many students attending ICTC, we are offering a complete education for our students at the junior senior high school. What you want to do, you can do.
And then finally, I thought, well, let's get, because we kind of end it after Keystone. We never look at school data after that, because That's what the state makes us look at. So we looked at SAT scores. And it turns out our SAT scores are lower than the state average. And that, I don't know if we force all our kids to take the SATs, that will change the state average, because in some districts, only the kids that are college bound are taking the SATs. I can't speak to that because that's not the world I live in, but the reality is that looks to me like an area of opportunity for us. Maybe Mr. Rainey, you can speak to
We
this.
used to at one time, they all took them, not now.
Okay.
And I'd speak a little bit to what Mr. Cesari said, is that when I look at our school, number one, I give credit to our staff. You know, obviously I call Tony Big Data, that's what his nickname is to me. But when you give teachers the ownership of really being accountable to these scores, they hold each other to a standard that's pretty important. And when he talked about ELA and he said about 7th grade having a new teacher, we also had a new teacher in 8th grade last year as well too. We split, well, till this year, because we lost the capacity and staff to do it, was we used to do 7th grade lit and 7th grade composition, 2 separate classes, to focus on that. And so when we had, so having new staff, and then when Ms. Bashir was only here, 3 years, and what she was able to do, because our scores in Keystone biology were not where we wanted them to be, and in a short period of time, her putting it there, and I'm pretty positive that, Mr. McAdoo is going to hold them there and probably even grow them more. So, but the thing that I love about the approach, number one, growth, that measures every student. So even a student that we know, like we had a student in Keystone, Keystone, you're looking at 1,500. We had a student last year that scored 17, 50, 40, 50, 60, something like that. One student did that. Okay, so that student was going to be advanced no matter what, but he grew. We know that we're taking our top students, and by looking at the data, we can see that we're not just saying, oh, we're proficient, we're advanced. We're actually pushing, and we can see if our top students are still benefiting from the academic programs that we provide. Number two, when you take students that traditionally have struggled academically, and they can see the things that we've been talking about this past month a lot here too, is, okay, like the girls basketball team, they knew they weren't gonna have success, but they showed up. When you take a kid and you recognize him or her, they were predicted to get a 1340 and they score a 1410, and you celebrate that, that reinforces a mindset into that student that his personal effort and him trying to, or her, to try to reach their own potential matters. Then you talk about ICTC. We got so many kids right now at ICTC that are out doing co-ops in the profession that they've been trained to do. We got juniors that were able, because of their performance at ICTC, actually use our online cyber program that we offer for the right reason. They go to ICTC in the morning and they're doing their core subjects here online, but they're going to work after ICTC every day and learning and getting acquainted with their trade. So, and then you talk about all the other things. We have more kids this year doing dual enrollment than I think we've had combined in probably the last 5 or 6 years. We have tons of kids that are going out and they're doing the dual enrollment in person on campus, getting that experience, and still maintaining their academic standing back here at our school in the subjects that they take here. It's just incredible. Like, we are touching everybody. We're touching the kids that want to advance themselves by going on to university level. We got kids that want to go out and be leaders in industry. They're going on to further education in trade schools, or going right into the career, like into the workforce, in mainly full-time family sustaining type work. Like, and we're covering the gamut. And it's the staff, it's the teachers that hold that expectation, but also meeting kids where they're starting to race. Tony uses it all the time. where do we start the race? Not everyone's starting the race at the same mark point. But if we're running the marathon, as he said, and they said we should be, right now that kid should be in like 20th place, and now he's in 10th. He grew, and you're only competing against yourself and trying to be better each and every day. And our students own that mindset. But the other thing too, if I'm a teacher and all I'm focused on is my advanced and proficient scores, I might have the best strategy, and these kids might be growing like crazy. But if I'm only focused on the achievement, and that kid's scoring a 1560 and he's killing it because he was supposed to get a 1380, the teacher feels defeated. But when we start looking at growth and the teacher can see, hey, 90% of my kids are growing, man, what I'm doing is working, and I'm gonna keep working it, I'm gonna keep improving in my craft, and I'm gonna keep delivering year in and year out for those kids. I think that growth is like, it's a mindset, and I think that's what makes the high school click, and I think that's why, you know, and we saw here tonight, we have areas that we can work on, and we will. But overall, I think it's the mindset of growth and each kid reaching his and her own potential and providing those opportunities. And those AP classes, that's not all of them.
Yeah, I saw that.
I think we have 14 now.
Wow.
Well, thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you for listening.
Really
We're
appreciate
proud,
that.
still proud to be a Wildcat.
So thank you for your time. Appreciate you coming in. this evening
Sure.
and working through that.
Good night, everybody.
Okay, we'll turn it over to Mrs. Getcher in our elementary school.
So this is going to be the tale of things they're doing well, and I'm going to be honest with you, there are things that we've got to work on this year, hands down. And we saw that and had questions really hard for ourselves when we saw some of our data, and so I'll kind of walk you through what that process for us looked like. So, basic data, I'll try not to tap the wall. I know why he's doing, because that's what our boards do. Just wanted to give you an idea of what I'm going kind of through some of the basic things. This is what our average attendance looks like. I will tell you we've got pockets of students, and Wendy is our attendance guru. She's the one who gets to take them to the magistrate. But our attendance is actually pretty good. This was when I did this back in January, so that could have fluctuated a little bit. But we are usually low and currently in the mid-90s. So we are getting our kids here.
In the elementary, to me, this is critical, because we cannot do anything if they are not here. We gotta have a good attendance rate in the elementary for sure.
And then this is always, so I'm a dork, so this is always a piece that interests me. I want to see where our free and reduces, and I was actually really surprised. We were actually on that downward trend. So we are still above 50%, but we are trending down ever so slightly. So just to give you an idea of what we're looking at, when we look at some of our class sizes too, and this is reflective once we get into the scores, a lot of our classes sit anywhere. We did have a couple in the upper 40s to very low 60s, so a lot of our kids are counting at almost 2%, give or take. So all of our kids impact. Special ed data, just to give you, and these are just the percentages of kids within our tested grades. So this isn't in our entire building, but these are our kids that receive learning support services. So you're looking, not quite a quarter of our kids have IEPs. And I want to add, the way that we do special ed and the way that we've always done special ed here, in order to qualify in most cases for an IEP, you're looking at least 2 grade levels below. So I just want you to think about the fact that 20% of our kids, due to having a disability, are functioning roughly 2 grade levels below. So this also makes it a little difficult for some of our kids. So, when I say good, bad, this is a little bit of both. I look at this, and we're gonna go horizontal on this one, and then we're gonna do some cross referencing. I wanna look at what are we teaching and how's it impacting those kids across the board. I don't want to be in the 50s. I would much prefer to be in some of the other scores, and you're going to see some things drop because I don't love where we're sitting in some of our grades. ELA last year, we started a pilot last year, so the fact that my ELA is off, I'm not surprised because we were trying to navigate a new curriculum. We had a single teacher doing it in 4, 5, and 6. Suzanne, obviously my only ELA teacher, she taught all of them because we talked about piloting. Do we just do one group? Do we do all group? But in 4, 5, and 6, we jumped in full grade. In 3rd grade, I only had 1 out of my 3 classes jump into ELA. So throwing some of those pieces. So I'm not super surprised by that. Also, some trends we're seeing in the elementary, and this is very, very new trends within the last couple years. We have kids that move into our district, and now we've had at least 2 families with multiple siblings that have never had schooling before. And when I mean never having schooling before, I've got a 4th grader who's lived in a vehicle for 2 years and had maybe some 1st grade and then comes back. I've got kids who have significant circumstances that change their world. So when they come in, they haven't had all the precursor of coming through pre-K kindergarten. And it's wildly different than even our kids coming in. So just some unique circumstances that bring our families in here that play into all of this. And we put a ton of resources into those, but just things to consider. So I'm holding tight in most of my math the whole way across. 6th grade math from that particular year jumped. When I look at my ELA, I kind of shared with you, we are still holding. There is a drop a little bit in our 5th grade math. And then we did have an increase from the previous cohort up. Go ahead and flip. So I look horizontal, but the other piece that I really look at is when we go catty corner, because that's, are we growing a particular group of kids? So when I look from 3rd to 4th, did we grow them? We maintained them. 4th to 5th, we were growing. 5th to 6th in math, we did have a drop. Huge drop here. I'm going to use Tony's word, that's a growing point. I will tell you that this is always a drop, and the primary reason is because this is all content and this is your 1st year of TDA. So if you look anywhere across the state, you're going to see a 3rd to 4th. This is still way bigger than I want to. We are not happy with it. I can tell you right now, the teacher was devastated because she has put so much into trying to do the right things and get the trainings that was a hard hit. This was also a drop, and then that was an increase. So I'm trying to increase our kids growing, even though, yes, the standards change and the things that we want. That, to me, is one of our biggest growth. So I do the horizontal and, like I said, tracking them grade-wise.
And again, when I look at this chart here, okay, what I do kind of like about the chart is our kids have basic understanding. Okay, they're in the basic category. This below is probably a little higher than we want it to be. But again, remember for us, when you only have 49 or under 50 in class, every student is 2%. So that can really inflate those numbers pretty quickly, both ways, for the advanced category and for the below category as well.
And I'm going to add to that when we get to a couple of the other slides. So going across the top is just where the state was, and you can see in some of our areas, yes, we are at or above the state, particularly in the area of math. 3rd, we're above 4th, 5th, 6th, and then I did have 7th and 8th. ELA, again, please take with a few grains of salt because we were starting a new curriculum last year, so we are roughly on track with 3rd grade, 4th grade we already talked about, 5th grade was down, 6th grade was down just slightly. When you look at the research for how long does a new program take, it's about 3 years. We saw that with our math program. If you remember, we did horrible the first couple of years we used Eureka, and our math scores are much better now. Go ahead.
And you can just see there's a chart of many different schools.
Yeah, I have all the schools. Tony did a great explanation on what growth looks like. I miss Mr. McCracken greatly, but I know our new teacher will do well, but he was our version of Mrs. Cook. So we are in the green with a lot of our areas, which means we are making a year's worth of growth. Do I want to be further to the right? Absolutely. Do I think we can get there? Again, absolutely. So this is another version of it. It just goes in what's the growth measure, what's our growth index, all of the things that we want to be above 0, because I will tell you in the next slide, ELA does not look that way. So when I say there's room for growth, ELA is our primary growing area, and we've been doing a lot of professional development on that this year.
And again, I'll just emphasize, this here means you made a year's worth of growth. That student came in as a 3rd grade math student and left understanding 4th grade math.
And if you're wondering, so it's 4, 5, and 6 because we don't have data on how their particular group will be in 3rd grade, so that's why there's not 3rd grade on there. I didn't just cut that grade out. We kind of stand right in the middle. This is our achievement versus growth. This is the quadrant that we would always be shooting for. Anything to the right, we're also looking for. Things that are over to the left, not so hot. So we're right there, smack in the middle. When we look at our 4th grade math predictive, our 5th grade, we are clear over here, and then our 6th grade is right about in the middle as well.
So again, you want to be in this upper right quadrant. That means you have great achievement and you have big growth. Okay, so you above the line, you met the threshold of achievement, and to the right, the further to the right, the more growth that you have there.
ELA, like I said, not at all where we want it to be. This was a huge disappointment. However, when we reflected kind of what was going on, it's the new curriculum. And that doesn't mean that the curriculum is bad. It just means we really had to get our wheels going and figure out it's vastly different than what our previous one was in all the right ways, but we don't get through as many modules and units those first couple years as we will next year. Perfect example, I was in one of my teachers' rooms who had previously modeled last year, and I was like, hey, where are you at? And she's like, I'm on module 6. And I went and talked to another teacher, I'm like, hey, where are you at? Different grade level, so please keep this in mind. They were on like a 3-4. So that whole being able to really know your curriculum and then be able to figure out, okay, these are the things I really need to make sure I'm covering. These are things not so much, and this is how I do it to make sure they get it. That's been a big learning curve with the new. So while we were not happy with them, and I have solutions and things that we're working on the backside, that was a piece of why we are where we are. So
one positive is our traditionally lower performing students in 4th grade did pretty good. So they met the standard.
And he's stealing all my thunder for another slide that's coming up. Because, yep. So, remember I said they didn't want to be on the left-hand side? You're going to see where I am on both 4 and 5, and then 6 I'm smack in the middle. Here, so this is everybody's building level score, and this, I need to kind of do some of, I like some of Tony's things, so I may steal that next year. Our elementary is down here overall. This is everybody, every high school, every junior high, and all of the pieces. So we are not where we want to be. I can tell you the year before we were closer up here. Last year we dipped hard. And I'm not going to make an excuse that things were great. So, historical data, things that we were, so Cheryl is not here tonight, but she and I sat down and went, okay, what's going on? What's going on? Why? We're doing these things, we're doing things, what's going on? One of the things we started noticing, and this is just math because I'm going to show you our ELA, and when I say raw data, this is every single kid. So when they give us the PSSA scores, they factor out kids who may not have been in our district very long. You have to, I think the magic move-in date is October 10th, so if you come in afterwards, you don't really count on our PSSA scores. And if you move out, same thing. But when we look at raw data, that's every single kid who sat in a seat that we tested. So when we started looking at things, and I'm color-coded for a reason, my basic. So clear back in 2022, I sat at 29%. I'm down to 26%, and then 32. I went from 34, 44, 43. So we were starting to lose some of our kids. Our low numbers, 22, 17, 11. My below basic, I'm kicking them out. 18, 13, 15, I start losing them. We started to notice our bubble kids are some of those kids that we're starting to lose. I can create some more advanced students. I can drop my below basic, but we are starting to lose some of our bubble kids. So those are the kids that are on that fringe. Are they going to be basic? Are they going to be proficient? And if you flip to the next slide, we were seeing, when we started looking at the data, we were starting to see something very similar. Our basic numbers kind of start to increase, even though I might be able to increase my advanced students, and I can drop when it looks to below basic. Overall, there are definitely some glitches here. We're starting to lose those bubble kids. So our shift, our focus has been clearly since Cheryl came on board and we were doing things, our interventions have been intense. We have WIN that rotates between math and reading, and they are highly structured. They are research-based interventions, research-based practices. You can't deviate just because it feels good. Here's what your kid needs based on the data. Here's what we are doing for them, and if it doesn't work, we need to switch. That's working with my below basic kids, and those are really the kids that were getting those intensive interventions, because our big goal has been to try to get them into grade level. So on one hand, we looked at it and went, yay to all my title people and yay to my WIN people, because we're working. That's primarily our special ed teams. It's Cheryl Turk, it's Lisa Weaver, it's Wendy Gallo. The credit goes to those guys. So we had to look at it and go, okay, what can we do to bring that up into the classroom? Because clearly we've got some things going on really well that we need to be doing everywhere. So go ahead and flip to the next page. Those are all those takeaways. So go ahead and keep going. So what we did with that information is, at the beginning of the year, this is what we talked about. We talked about this from our first in-service day. What are we doing? We have to focus on those bubble kids more. We need to really be worried about those kids and make sure that we are not losing them down that bubble. Or more importantly, we're pushing them up. How are we going to do that? Well, from what we're seeing in our WIN groups and our intervention groups, it's that use of small group data-driven instruction. So, WIN time, those activities need to be different for those kids, not just, hey, we're gonna do reading eggs, or hey, we're gonna do this and everybody's doing it. This group is structured based on this need, this group is structured on this need. So we started to shift some things this year. So, Suzanne can attest to this. This was my slide to everybody at the beginning of the year. A lot of this presentation was actually part of what they saw at the beginning of the year. So, small groups with general education classrooms, and we're providing differentiated instruction. So, where does that leave us? Luckily, I actually like when we do these in February and not in January, because then I can get you some progress reports. We're moving. There are some areas where we shift the target a little bit mid-year, but overall, our kids are growing. And that, keep in mind, that's not just growing, that's you're on benchmark, and now I'm picking up additional kids on benchmark, because that's always a goal. We've been great at growing our kids, we just haven't been able to grow them fast enough. And some of our kids, we still look at that. So that's kindergarten.
So this is beginning of the year, BOY.
BOY and MOY is middle. Some of these, and that's where we changed the targets. So when you look at, say, kindergarten was 70% at the beginning of the year, 61% mid-year, don't panic, because they've just had 2 more skills I had to throw at them. So those aren't pieces that we worry about. End of the year, if we look like that, especially if I'm starting with 68% of my kids and 75 that are pretty good, I know we're gonna be okay, because these pieces, my 70 jumped to a 77. I'm gonna be good. We're gonna be okay. So some of those things, just knowing what goes into them changes. When I look at my math, the composite, and composite is kind of all of these components built into one, I'm growing. So that 72% means I have 72% at the beginning of the year, and now 74% of my first graders are on grade level. My reading shifts drastically, so don't panic when you see a 67 drop to a 44, because at the beginning of the year, we're just looking for them to give me sounds to words. So CLS is how, like if I give you the word, the N-U-F, I'm looking for you to say I don't care if you say nuff. So that increases. Now we're doubling down on their words correct. That's reading those nonsense. And you have to read a passage on your grade level, and you have to be accurate, and you have to segment things. So that drop makes sense when I know what's going on down there. Go ahead. This is overall our math scores going, and this is strictly Acadians and STAR. STAR we equate to kind of that overall check when you go to the doctor. So when they do your temperature, your blood pressure, I'm not diving too deep into blood work, that's our equivalent of a STAR. So this is one of the pieces, I hate to say that we look for that pulse check. And across the board, 58 to a 60, 60 to a 63, 44 to a 56, we are picking up the number of students that are on grade level. Because keep in mind, at the beginning of the year in second grade, I'm looking for you to be at a 2.0. It's not good enough for you to be at a 2.1, 2.2. Mid-year, you need to be at a 2.5. So those kids are maintaining, and we're picking kids up, which is ultimately what we're looking for. Reading, just the nature of the beast, we end up with more data. Some of our first grade is brand new data because that is a new piece. Our kids aren't expected to be fluent until later on. Funny story about first grade, which won't show up in this. We do the nonsense words that I told you about, NUF. If we had given the test 1 week prior, they just learned silent E when we gave their mid-year test. So every vowel, they wanted it to be a long vowel because they were still trying to learn that E meant long vowel and the short vowel. So that really messed them up on one of their assessments. Oral reading fluency is how many words can you read? We saw a drop in several of our grades, which is now a focus for us. One of the pieces that we're looking at is making sure that our accuracy isn't dropping. A child who is a slower reader but accurate, and by accurate I'm looking at mid-90s and above, we can be okay with. You're going to be able to comprehend, because ultimately the reason we do oral reading fluency is to make sure that they're building their comprehension, which plays in a little bit with our maze, but ultimately that pulse check that we talked about with STAR, we're making improvements. Second grade, 57 to 70, 58 to 49, we did see a dip, and we had some conversations and made some changes with that. That's one of our grade levels highly hit with some intense need move-ins, 45 to a 58, 46 to a 52, 43, and I think she's 52. It's just lost at the bottom, but it did go up. Yep, 52. So our kids are moving. Our kids are making progress. And then science, Tony mentioned, and the reason that there aren't scores is that we did not get the official scores, but we are using, I should have changed it from, they are using CDT. We are also fireflying, but CDT creates a range, and just from beginning of the year to middle of the year, you can already see some pretty nice growth across all 3 grades. Mid-year data, one of the things we talked about, again, looking at that mid-year data, we weren't happy with some things. So reinforced, okay, when are you doing those small groups? This building hasn't always done small groups. Sometimes when we take our intervention groups out, the teacher continued on with parts of a lesson that those kids could miss. So they directed the rest of the group with instruction, which was great, but now we're asking them to utilize that time in almost old school centers for some of them, so that and it's amazing. Like, you can see it in a 6th grade classroom when they're rotating. I was in a 5th grade classroom, and each one of those centers was different for those kids. So she had 5 different centers going on based on what this group needed, that group needed, and they're obviously always one of the centers, and then how they rotate in and check on those kids in the process. That has been a building shift for us this year. Like I said, we actually have a monthly chart, and I didn't add it to this, but when we shift our win groups, which is every 2 weeks, they have to put in, what is your goal? What are you working on? What is this time? So we have a track of what things we're working on. And all of that's coming from the benchmark. We did ease a little bit more into some of the formal classroom assessments as we are starting to get into PSSA season. When they see, hey, this is a skill they're not getting into, how can we shift it? Resources, really trying to I've got some rock star teachers that are great at this and using those teachers as examples. And we are just constantly shifting blocks. So for some of our kids, Jody talks about 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks. We have red, yellow, blue block. So if kids we're not waiting necessarily to the end of a quarter or end of a semester. Look, this kid's really struggling. They might need here. Oh, look, this kid's doing really well. They're taking off. Let's see if we can push them. So the actual instructional math ELA blocks are not as stagnant as they used to be. Those are flexing more. And then our intervention groups have just always based on the nature. So my hope, my thought is, and kind of the feeling of the room when we saw some of those, that data almost lit a fire under us because we felt like our scores for the last 30 years have been going up. And last year we dipped, and rock bottom kind of fell in the room that day because there was massive disappointment. We talked about some of the reasons, but I think it may have lit an additional fire under us because that's not reflective of what we're doing in our building. So, two stories.
Thank you, Ms. Kincher.
Yep.
Great job both to you and the high school. We'll make sure you get those PowerPoints because that's a lot to look at between Sharon Parks and Collins. We make sure they get those PowerPoints. Send them out to them there. Okay. So that's a lot to digest, a lot to take in, and some good things, some things we got to work on. And I do certainly appreciate the effort and the time that it takes to share all that information. And that's really what we're about. We're really about educating kids. You know, we come here, we talk about a lot of things. We talk about a lot of different things, but ultimately our goal is to put the best student that we can out there in our community ready to go. And I think we're doing a good job of that. So thank you.
Thank you for those data presentations. I'm glad that things are generally going well here. So we'll move on to reports, and we have Homer Center School Board committees and buildings and grounds.
Building and grounds did not meet. No report.
Policy committee did not meet. Homer Center School Board reps to outside boards. Aaron met on Tuesday. Pretty routine type of things at that meeting. There was an adjustment to our general operating budget, and that has to do with largely travel costs in Armstrong School District and how they're reimbursed. If anybody had any super specific questions, they need to contact Greg Sessman because he understands that stuff obviously, and not really. Homer Center Parks and Rec, we met on February 9th. Our president, Kyle Kobaugh, is considering applying for another grant from the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation Natural Resources to try to use that grant money, if we even get it, to improve equipment to the various parks. So if anybody has any suggestions for what could be done at our parks in the future, if we get the grants, we're certainly open for any kind of suggestions there. ICTC, Mrs. Smith.
We meet on Tuesday. Last month's meeting was pretty standard. I would like to say that we're working with WCC. They got a grant that will enable dual enrollment with them from some of our students at the Tech Center. It'll be at absolutely no cost to the student because it'll be paid through grant money. So they'll be able to get college credits in their fields while they're still in school. So that's something that we've not had before. So They also have IUP dual enrollment, if you have to travel to IUP for that. The masonry program, the new building up there is going well. There's still negotiations and things going on, but it looks like it's gonna be a done deal. And we did get that over $1 million grant for facilities, and they'll be working on the welding. We've improved the ventilation and added more sites for welding up there so that we can get more students into the program. And let's see what else. We're gonna, once the masonry building is up, it's gonna give us the opportunity to offer some more classes on like concrete sciences and how the science fits into the masonry program. I think that's gonna be really exciting when we get that going and have the opportunity to open it up to more possibilities for our students and for our community. And that's all I have. Do you have anything from the PAC meeting?
Just the Act 93 will be discussed next week.
All right, thank you. Next, consent items from the planning meeting. Does anybody wish to have anything removed from the consent items?
I would just like to point out 2 items in the consent under G3 personnel, the retirement submissions of Ms. Christina Bruno and Dr. Susan Matier, who both happen to be joining us here tonight. Certainly want to congratulate them on some great careers and thank them for all they're doing, and I'm sure they're going to finish up strong, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel for them, so thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies, for all of your good work that you've done while you've been here. And Susan, you're making me feel really old because I hired you. I was part of hiring you. But you've done a great job. Thank you.
Is there a motion for the consent items?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mrs. Ayers, seconded by Mrs. Smith. Mrs. Collins, would you please pull the board?
Mrs. Ayers,
Yes.
Mr. Jerry Burdick,
Yes.
Dr. Della Fiera,
Yes.
Mr. Faven,
Yes.
Dr. Pontani Palmer,
Yes.
Mr. Shank,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
and Mr. Michael Burdick.
Yes, that motion carries. We have a lot of new business since the planning meeting, which you can see in the regular red and the bold red. 3 things that we need to fill in. For extracurriculars, the head swim coach will be paid at the rate of $2,000, assistant swim coach $1,000, and golf is $1,500.
Nothing unusual there that I would need to point out that would be of any concern, really. But if the board has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for any of those items. We are bringing another custodian on. Mr. Wilson and you, gentlemen, anything you want to share in that regard?
Yeah, he's actually going to fill a custodial position at the high school. So nice to get that filled. Once he gets all his paperwork in, we'll get him started.
All right, do we have a motion for new business?
I move to approve new business.
Motion made by Mr. Burdick, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Della Fiera, discussion.
Again, we try to get this to you 2 days in advance, so if you have any questions, please make sure you reach out to us so we can get you answers.
Mrs. Collins, would you please pull the board?
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Shank,
Yes.
Mrs. Ayers,
Yes.
Mr. Faven,
Yes.
Dr. Pontani Palmer,
Yes.
Mr. Jerry Burdick,
Yes.
Dr. Della Fiera,
Yes.
and Mr. Michael Burdick.
Yes, that motion carries. Move on to information sharing. As you saw in the email, the Honor Society induction ceremony, I believe, is March 9th.
And then Dr. Pontani Palmer had some questions, and was able to get you some answers to those, but if we want to put some of those on for discussion,
Yeah.
it'd be,
Because there was a list. So
March.
I feel like some of them will deserve some.
we could put them on.
Yeah.
under discussion for the March meeting.
Okay. I appreciate that.
All right, board member comments. We'll start with Dr. Delafira.
Oh dear.
We can go this side.
Yeah,
All right. Mr. Shank.
Congratulations to our teachers who are going to retire. My children had both of you, so I'm proud to say that they're well-rounded and they enjoyed their time with you, and we appreciate your service to the district, and congratulations and good luck.
Thank you. Mr. Fagan.
Also, congratulations, Dr. Matier and Ms. Bruno. Well earned, so we're gonna miss you. That's all.
Thank you. Mrs. Smith.
Definitely miss both of you. It's been a pleasure. But as a newly retired person, it's not all cracked up to be, and you will miss work. So, yeah. I know it seems far-fetched now, but when the time comes, but best of luck to you, and you'll enjoy your grandbabies, and I'm not sure what you've got going on. Lots of stuff. All right. Enjoy.
Thank you. Dr. Delafira.
Again, just congratulations to both of you. Mr. Shank's children may have had you, but I had both of you. So excellent work in the district, and just wanted to also thank all the families and students that were able to join us this evening. It's great to see the kinds of commitments and talents that we have in this district.
Thank you. Mrs. Ayers.
Okay. I also want to congratulate you and wish you all well when the year ends. And I also want to just commend the teachers also to coming together, even though we didn't maybe get the scores that we needed to on our PSSAs. It's nice to see that you're not just sitting back, that you're working and you're trying to find solutions to making our school better, even better than it is. So.
Thank you. Dr. Pontani Palmer.
Thank you for the presentations, and I think maybe we should probably carry a little bit of those conversations on into the academic committee. I would like to just discuss more, and I have some notes that I made, and we can move forward with that. And then just again, to both of our teachers, Dr. Matier and Ms. Bruno, honestly, congratulations and wishing you the best, and happy, healthy retirement, and enjoy.
Thank you. Mr. Burdick.
Echoing a lot of that, it's typically bittersweet to have to say goodbye when that time comes. I think in many ways we are truly a collaborative family here, and you've both done excellent work, and we're so grateful for that. And it's always a little daunting because you worry what the outcome will be when we try to replace our good veteran teachers that do so well for us. But I do wish you a happy retirement. Like Mrs. Smith, I can testify that it can be a challenging thing to navigate, the feeling. Maybe for you it'll be just instantly great. But yes, please do. I mean, I hope you always remain a Wildcat. I want to thank you too for, it's really nice to see retirement letters that say so much, that express your positive feelings about the district and your time here. It's good to know that, and grateful for those words. And I'll remember the couple of guest appearances you gave me in your classroom, Mrs. Bruno. That was a nice experience for me.
I'll expect you this year.
Okay, we'll get one more swan song.
Yes, we
All right. So thank you to that. As far as the presentations go tonight, I would want our public to know, I think, that we saw a lot of the fruits of our labors and some of the efforts that we put in when we're falling shorter than or below where we would like to be. It's not for lack of effort, and we keep our class sizes small. I firmly believe that you're going to get a good education here. If you have the capabilities, you're going to have the opportunities. If you have struggles, you're going to get the attention that you need, especially listening to you, Mrs. Genscher, that just the attention that goes into tracking all of this and analyzing it, just tells us how much work and effort it is and how much caring goes into it, and we will hope to see another turnaround here. And I think, you know, in many ways, we see the proof of that when our high school level traditionally is doing above expectations and leading the pack in so many ways. And it's the end result from where we start in elementary school with sometimes some struggles. So it does show how we pull these kids through, and it you know, it may take a while, but we're doing the job. And people can be confident not only in the educational opportunity that you get here, but we always talk about the school culture too. That's a whole nother element that I don't think can be taught anywhere. Our school culture is just always recognized as outstanding. So all in all, things to work on, we know that, and we will, but a lot to be satisfied with too.
I think the board's willingness to create the position that Mrs. Turk is in right now with it, what, I don't remember the initials, M something. MCSB, which does all of that individual tracking and making sure that those kids are put on the right level. And it's something when we do our budgeting, you know, it's not required. So sometimes it's an easy target, but I think it's essential for us to keep that position as long as we possibly can, because we do see the benefits of it.
Mm-hmm. And you know, one thing I will feel good about is that despite some struggles, it's not because kids fall through the cracks. If anything, we keep working and working to bring them along. So in that respect too, the public can be confident that this is a great place to send a kid to school.
Every kid counts, just like our son.
Right.
Thank you. I'd conclude by also congratulating Dr. Matier and Ms. Bruno. Ms. Bruno, I had you when you were a student teacher, when you were transitioning careers, so it's been a long time now, but I'm glad that you were able to fulfill, you know, your career here at Homer Center. And Dr. Matier, I'm just a bit too old, I guess, that did not have you in the elementary.
It's okay, you would have loved me.
Is there a motion to adjourn? We don't have Mr. Hayes to do it.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Mrs. Ayers. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Faven. All in favor?
Aye.